So the prospect of an open-sourced religion, governed democratically, developing depth practices and a theological coherence such that it saves lives, amplifies meaning, and changes the course of history, may appear to be a ludicrous prospect. But that is, in fact, what we hope to do. Nothing less. And that doesn't happen without proper investment in the life of the tradition and the churches and the practices that embody it. The cornerstone and entry point into that investment for us is the covenant made between congregations and expressed in our national association's bylaws. So unless you're very new to the Unitarian Universalist tradition, you are surely aware that last June, we passed as a democratic association a major and overdue revision to Article 2 of our Unitarian Universalist Association's national bylaws. Article 2 is where our covenant lives as an association. And so Article 2 is foundational to our faith project. The change made last June was this, where once the covenant housed in Article 2 expressed our principles and sources, it now articulates our values and inspirations. So you can see the graphic depiction of our values on the screen, or I think in the link in the order of service if you are on Zoom today. So the preamble, never overlook the preamble. It's important stuff. The preamble to the values reads, as Unitarian Universalists, we covenant, congregation to congregation, and through our association to support and assist one another in our ministries. We draw from our heritages of freedom, reason, hope, and courage, building on the foundation of love. Love is the power that holds us together and is at the center of our shared values. We are accountable to one another for doing the work of living our shared values through the spiritual discipline of love. Inseparable from one another, these shared values are justice, equity, transformation, pluralism, interdependence, and generosity. End preamble. So today begins a series which will be roughly once a month from now through June, where we will explore in turn each of the values that we have rooted in love. And since we're about to launch our stewardship campaign, it seemed that the value of generosity might be a grand place to begin the exploration. Maybe a bit on the nose, but there you go. So the way it's set up in the UUA bylaws, you see the values graphic, which you can see here, and then you see the list of values, each with a brief description, followed by what I like to think of as an implied therefore, and an expression of what we covenant to do. To wit, under generosity, we read, we cultivate a spirit of gratitude and hope. It is as if generosity is defined as gratitude and hope. Or perhaps it's the inevitable product of gratitude and hope. If we have gratitude and hope, we will naturally be generous. Hopefully we'll do some of that cultivation even today. So the whole thing reads, we cultivate a spirit of gratitude and hope. Implied, therefore, we covenant to freely and compassionately share our faith, our presence, and resources. Our generosity connects us to one another, in relationships of interdependence and mutuality. We cultivate a spirit of gratitude and hope. We covenant to freely and compassionately share our faith, our presence, and our resources. Our generosity connects us to one another in relationships of interdependence and hope and mutuality. So that's beautiful. That's like a roadmap. Cultivate gratitude and hope, which naturally connects us in mutuality and interdependent relationships, because it has compelled us to share our faith, our presence, and our resources. I think that's quite elegant. That works. It becomes a positive feedback loop. There's just one issue. Just one bit. It's the first bit. It's the gratitude and hope part. Like in these days. I don't know. I see the need, but to be honest with you, I'm more filled with despair and wrath than gratitude and hope. And on levels that run from the personal to the structural and political. We know the moves being made by the White House are moves dictators have made in the past. It's a hard place to have gratitude and hope. When oaths of loyalty and scapegoating abound, we are in the dictatorial playbook. He's already issued edicts that are blatantly unconstitutional. He's pardoned thugs who are convicted of sedition and violence against uniformed officers defending our capital. He's ordered the agencies that protect our health to stop communicating with us and has withdrawn from international organizations that protect our citizens and the world. Gratitude and hope. I despair for democracy. We are now on the knife's edge of fascism, and there is no one to stop it from toppling all the way over, except people like us. And not that I don't have confidence in us, but that terrifies me. And it infuriates me, but even more than that, I despair for our people and the danger the president has already put them in. I despair the dehumanization, another tactic of fascism, he has ever and always deployed against anyone. But today I am thinking most about our immigrant siblings and neighbors, and those to whom that word is given, whether they are immigrant or not. I despair the making of the word immigrant into a pejorative. I am thinking of them, and I am also thinking of our gender, queer, and trans siblings, as if the stroke of a pen could erase them. My heart is breaking, my teeth are grinding for the willful ignorance fueling our opponents. Now look, in an overwhelmed immigration system, there's often no legal way to come here and no survivable way to return home. Many die in transit, and pursued by the four horsemen of the apocalypse, waiting is not an option. I promise you that more troops will not stop immigration. That won't work. Sending Immigrants back to their country of origin also will not work. That's preposterous. And everybody knows it's preposterous. Neither of those solutions treat the root causes of immigration, of course. And here's the secret: if they really wanted to curtail immigration, we'd be discussing its causes, of which our foreign policy via regime destabilization, NAFTA, and the war on drugs plays the lead role and gives rise to those apocalyptic equestrians. But they don't really want to curtail it. They want a scapegoat. They want a scapegoat for their own sense of personal powerlessness in the face of exponentially growing financial and power disparities right here in the US, and it's been going on for a long time. Scapegoats are for the weak. But boy, do people like their scapegoats. It's easier, of course, to punch down on the undocumented and historically marginalized when we should be banding together to punch up at the obscenely wealthy, now beholden to the White House. It's an old story. Power loves divide and conquer racism. It's the oldest trick in the American playbook. Like it's only a game. Power of this kind and the people who wield it hurt people. They hurt kids without remorse. Indeed, sometimes with glee. I've seen that with glee, because they are weak-souled. And it will not remotely solve the real human root puzzles domestically or internationally, because that's not their intent. The literal sacrifices to Narcissus stirs me to such anger. I mean, let's be clear. The call to deport illegals is nothing short of an ethnic cleansing. It is the first step towards genocide. A practice well within the historical parameters of our country. It's a muscle memory that we're supposed to be trying hard to correct. Instead, we elect it. And we know that the goalposts will move. When mass deportation fails, another group will be targeted. This is how it goes historically. And actually, they're already setting this up, right? On his first day in office, the president rescinded anything but male-female designations in federal records, as if that could change who people are, as if we would want to. It changes nothing, except that it gives license for people to behave badly and to try by other means to so-called cleanse our country. Not this time by deportation, but by legal erasure. And we will not let it happen. There's no way. No way. We will keep here. We will keep the flame of welcome and recognition alight. Our chalice will illuminate a circle of celebration, honor, and love for everyone, and especially for our trans and non-binary siblings. We will disrupt harassment. We will listen with compassion. And by God, we will do our damnedest to get their pronouns straight. It has always been more than a matter of decorum to do so. Over time, it's been a matter of life and death, and it is more so now. And it is the least we can do. So, when you misgender somebody, which you probably will, apologize, start the sentence over, and train your brain. It's important. For our fundamental faith is in the beauty of a person being their whole and holy selves. Our fundamental faith is in the beauty of a person being their whole and holy selves. Our faith is that we are interconnected and made all the more so by the diversity that makes for a healthy and vibrant unity. Our faith is that the arc of the universe bends, however inconsistently, but inevitably toward justice. And we, all of us, have a role to play in the realization of that faith. Grace abounds, friends. But it is sometimes inert until activated by our presence, our witness, our recognition. Our presence is an active thing, for our presence is rooted in love. As such, we freely give of our resources, our bodies, our finances, our intellect, our hugs, our time, and ourselves. And by this, our self-concern is gradually replaced by relationships of interdependence and mutuality. And if there is a better definition for God, I have not heard it. And here, in our interdependence and mutuality, our faith, our presence, our resources, here is where I am returned to again and again, to gratitude and hope. So there it is. That's how we get through. And not only get through, that is how we change the world from domination to gift. And actually, we're not changing the world. We are recognizing the world as gift instead of domination. But for that to happen, we need to be there for each other. We need each other, and we have each other. This place, to do what it was meant to do, it needs your faith, your presence, and your resources, as does the whole world. So we share. The prospect of an open source religion, governed democratically, developing depth practices and theological coherence such that it saves lives, amplifies meaning, and changes the course of history may indeed appear ludicrous. In fact, when you tell somebody that is what we are about here at All Souls, they may respond, "Sure, buddy, when pigs fly." Well, I've got news for you. Justice, equity, transformation, pluralism, independence, and generosity. J.E.T.P.I.G.